what things are you doing at Science Research Wellness that you're really excited about personally?
Yeah, look, I think we're looking at 2050 and going, how do we stop that problem from occurring in terms of just, being in the same model and having 2 billion people on the planet being pretty unhealthy and hanging around and costing a lot of money. So really our focus is on preventative wellness, like how do we help people navigate this so that they turn up in their 50s, 60s and 70s and thriving and in really good health and with bodies in a good shape. So that's what our focus is on, and we're continuing to work with experts around the world on how do we do that and how do we translate that in a way which is accessible to people. There's a lot of pharmaceutical companies working on this right now. I'd say that they'll have drugs and formulations out that are probably a decade away. But when we understand what's happening at the cellular level, we can go and have a look at all the different supplements out there and go, okay, what are actually interacting with these pathways, and how can we formulate that in a way which can, essentially have a positive impact on those processes. So that's, we've got our cell 1, 2, and 3 out as we speak. They will evolve and change over time as we better understand exactly what's going on. And what I'm most excited about is this reprogramming that we talked about right at the start. Like if we can reprogram our cells and our DNA and the little methylation patterns, we can reset the clock. It's happening now. Like they had a lady who was 53 and they applied some factors to her skin and got it acting like someone 30 years younger, right?
I want that.
Yeah, don't we all, right? In mouse models, they've managed to reprogram the blood, liver, kidney, and spleen. So, these are just baby steps, but they are ultimately going to culminate in us being able to reprogram. And I think most excitingly is just the fact that we need to be doing that for our brain, right? So
yeah.
Right now, the tech's coming down the line that we can grow our own organs, or that we can 3D print them, for example. But I think we're a long way away from solving that for your brain, right? So I'm sure that we can get kidneys sorted and hearts and what have you. But so really, we want to be looking after our brain as best we can, so that so that when we turn up and this technology's there, that we've got something that's working really well, and we can patch up what is not working so well. So I think brain health will definitely be a focus.
As having worked with lots of people with brain injuries and having worked on a daily basis with mum with brain injuries and neurodegeneration and strokes and aneurysm, the results of those, people with TBIs and concussions and stuff, protecting your brain. I mean, you can have the best looking body, but if your brain is not doing what it's meant to be doing, you're not going to be functioning, you're not going to be enjoying life, you're not going to have, it's just a hell of a battle. It's a hell of a battle. Like for me with mum and having had a stroke plus tumors plus everything possible in her brain, and doing hyperbaric and doing supplements and doing a very strict diet and doing the exercises. But I have to keep her there every single day. Like yesterday, I was away for 4 hours with work. By the time I got home, the swelling had started in her feet. The connection from her brain to her body wasn't there. So I had to spend the next couple of hours sort of working with her to reconnect her brain to her body. And I have to do that every day, ongoing throughout the day. That's a hell of a load, I'll tell you. That's a hell of a load that could have been prevented if I had known her risk factors, her genetics, if I had known the diet mistakes that she was doing, if I'd known a lot of those things. When, in hindsight, it's brilliant. It's very nasty like that. But that makes me passionate to be able to stop other people having things like strokes and things, or neurodegeneration or Alzheimer's or dementia. These are very, we can see them coming 10 years ahead. We can do things about them when they've already started. And it's never too late to start. There was a page in your book that I loved, talking about an 83-year-old lady, Ernestine Shepherd. And she was a bodybuilding champ at the age of 79 or something, and still absolutely gorgeous and amazing at 83. And she didn't start till she was 56, and she was, by her own admittance, was extremely fit and unfit at 56, and then started to remodel and reshape her body and her diet and all the rest of it over time. And now at 83, honestly, looks like a supermodel, just absolutely amazing and muscular and athletic. And I'm like, damn, that's where that's what I want to look like at 83. And that starts now. But she started at 56 years old. Imagine if she'd started at 20. And maybe she's got some fabulous genetics. We don't know. Maybe not. But those daily incremental things that you do, like Greg can give you the best supplements, I can give you the best diet. But if you're lying in bed or lying on the couch and doing no exercise, you are going to turn to soup.
Yeah.
Exercise is the basis. The exercise and diet and mindset, the mindfulness, that's probably the one I struggle with the most. The stress reduction. If you looked at my oxidative stress, it probably comes all from the actual psychological and physical stresses. And that's something that it is epidemic as well. And that has a very powerful effect as well. So working on each of these pillars, and for me, it's, trying to get the stress levels down is probably the most important. For another one, it might be getting off the couch and getting moving, and someone else, it might be the diet or whatever. But all of these things add up to an extra 20, 30, and maybe even 50, 60 years if we're lucky by the time, that technology rolls around.
Yeah, I mean, we are modern humans, but we're still in ancient bodies. Right?
Yeah.
We're just so, we need to move, and we need to constantly stress our bodies, not in a bad way, but just in terms of that hormetic response you're talking about. And you go to the blue zones, which I'm sure you've talked about a bunch, and these are people in there over 100 who are thriving. They're still working, they walk everywhere, they build movement into their life, they still enjoy a cigarette, unbelievably, and wines. And so but and this is why, like, you can't, a really good diet and exercise and lifestyle actually covers a myriad of sins. Obviously, don't recommend smoking, but
no.
But and these guys perhaps enjoy a glass of wine once a night as well. So it's just a super fascinating study on what we can do, and fundamentally, it's diet, it's exercise. The diet's plant-based, Mediterranean based. So strong social groups as well. Like
that's the other part.
It is, I think, a good partner and a good set of friends can add 8 years to your life. Like, so these are, we're social animals, and also looking at how you attack life, right? Attacking it positively actually has a really positive impact. So it's about, like, okay, how do we adopt our mindset so that we're really positively attacking aging? So do all of those things, and you're in a really good shape.
Yeah, you got a good chance at living to 120 and getting there in good shape rather than being decrepit and declining, which none of us want. That's you and my goal is I think, to make sure that doesn't happen to us personally or to our loved ones.
And the other
keep
thing,
that at bay.
Another thing that's happening in the States, there's a company called Fountain Life. Are you familiar with what they're doing?
A little bit.
Yeah, so they actually upload you essentially in terms of doing a full scan and get about 150 gigabytes of data. Like, it's just crazy. But what they do is they pick up around 14% of people have some sort of actionable health issue that might be going to be coming to bite them in the backside in the next 5 to 10 years. And so that might be 2% of people have an aneurysm, or 2% have a cancer of some description. And so that just enables you to just get so far in front of it. Imagine dealing with cancer at stage 0.
Oh, that's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's not a problem there.
So do all of the good stuff, but don't put your head in the sand. Go and get your tests, go and get checked. And what Fountain Life are doing right now is not particularly accessible. It's about $100,000 a year. But they're saying that it'll be $10,000 a year in 5 years and $1,000 a year in 10. Wow. So, that's going to mean that we'll all be able to roll in and do that checkup and correct issues before they become a problem. And that's going to be just revolutionary for us all, because it's just, right now, you feel like you're in a wee bit of a lottery at times. Right? Some people do make it, some people don't. And that lottery is going to shift to just just good management, and then we'll all get the opportunity to have like long, healthy, thriving lives.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, it's only for the rich, you know, and it is. And a lot of these things start off being very expensive, even like the supplements that we get, they cost. But over time, as the research is being paid for and it becomes a per unit cost cheaper, that's going to make it accessible. It always starts. If you think about the original cell phones 20, 30, whatever years ago it was now, when we first had those big bricks, you know, it was only millionaires that could have them. Now, of course, you know, every kid all around the world has got a cell phone, and it's become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and more accessible and more accessible. It is unfortunately the way the world works, and it is what needs to happen is the research, and the research is very expensive, but it does then eventually get cheaper and get more accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something I learned, probably 20 years ago, in terms of, you know, things start out being expensive, but yeah, it seems like a long time to wait, but 20 years is not that long, and all of a sudden it becomes really accessible and for all of us. So it's sometimes a bit of a wait and see, but this is the reason that we want to actually proactively use all the knowledge we can to stay well right now, so that when these technologies come along, that we're ready and we can afford them and our bodies are in good shape.